Alright, what's up guys? So I know there's a lot of new gun owners out there, and the biggest thing they have is they see that a gun, there's a lot of recoil. It's apparently shooting a Desert Eagle is going to break your wrist or something along the lines of that, which is, I think is kind of funny. So a lot of new gun owners have no idea how to control recoil. In fact, sometimes you'll see that they even flinch and get scared. The best way to understand how recoil works is by understanding that recoil is like water hitting a wall. When water hits a wall, water is it's a flow. When it hits a wall, it's a sudden stop. And the way the wall is shaped is how the water bounces back, and that is recoil. So, you want a straight wall that is pointed literally towards where the water is coming from. Think of the water as the recoil and you are the wall. So here's the thing, if my wall is curved, like the typical hunting stance that a lot of FUD boys do, what's going to happen is the water is going to curve off to the side. And the recoil, like the same thing, is going to go off to that side where the water flows. However, if I drastically improve it by keeping my shoulders straight, looking forward, and let's say that you're still chicken winging, here's the thing, drop your elbow down. Because one, if you're getting shot at, this is a liability to get your hand shot off, your arm out of action. So, you want on your chest, where you want to shoulder your rifle, is about right here. Imagine that little collarbone right there. You want to place it right under that collarbone. You want it just enough to where you're not leaning your head down too much, where it's very uncomfortable. It's just a motion where I'm just bringing my head down forward. So, this is how it looks. So, see that? It's just a very small motion where I'm just bringing forward. The same time I'm bringing my gun up is the same time I'm bringing my head down by a very slight amount. And the next thing you need to know about recoil control is your footwork. So, here's the thing. If you're ever a boxer or MMA Muay Thai fighter, you understand that you gotta point your hips and your feet kind of at your target, at the person you're fighting against, right? Recoil control is the same case. I want my feet pointed forward and at a boxing stance. My hips pointed towards the target I'm aiming at. Very simple. It's hard to get an angle. Wish I had a second person to do this with me, but sadly I don't. So, let's go review again, okay? So, remember, that shoulder blade, right where it starts, right here, you want to place it right under there, and just enough to where it's your head, you're bringing it down. Remember, keep your feet straight and keep your hips pointed towards your target. And another thing that people will do is they'll get a vertical grip because, apparently it's going to automatically decrease recoil because of video games. Sure, it can in some degree, but sometimes it won't, because the secret about controlling recoil, the other part, is that you don't just hang loose where your arms are just holding the rifle. You're engaging with your palms, in which the military rule is 70% with your support hand and 30% with your right hand. I think that's a very vague term, but this is how I think about it, okay? So you shoulder your rifle, this is kind of how you're looking, you're aiming down. What you're going to do is you're going to take your support hand, and it should be just enough to where it's not falling out of your shoulder where you're just holding onto it loosely. You have to place it back into your shoulder where it's a steady hand. And with my right hand, I'm just spending the rest of that energy, just holding it a little bit tightly. Not too tight, but tightly. See this? Very simple. So, they like to say 70% into your shoulder, 30% with your right hand or your shooting hand. I think it's a very vague term, unfortunately, but it is what it is. So, another thing you want to do about recoil control is that if you ever play video games, in CSGO, I played CSGO a lot back in the day, you bring down the recoil of the AK down, bottom left, to the right. Same case. As you're bringing it down, as you're shooting, you want to kind of bring it down and counterbalance that recoil. Because here's the thing, you want to keep that, like the water in the wall, that water's going to constantly splash back like a tsunami, so you have to keep that wall straight, but also at the same time you have to be able to drag that recoil slightly down, but not too much. And that's all for my recoil, how to control your recoil on a rifle guide.